there comes a point on the path, a turning point that every traveler must eventually face, when the very ground of prayer seems to shift beneath your feet. You have asked, you have pleaded, you have presented your list of needs to the heavens. But now, a profound question whispers in the depths of your being. What if all my asking has been a barrier? What if my fervent pleas have been the very noise preventing me from hearing the answer that was already here? We have been taught to bring our problems to God. But I am here to speak of a different state of consciousness, a state beyond the beggar at the gate. It is the state of the child who has come home, not to ask for a meal, but to sit at the table that has already been prepared. When you stop asking, you are not giving up. You are giving over. You are ceasing to outline to infinity how its work should be done. You are relinquishing the role of the architect who designs the blueprint for his own salvation. And in that moment of sublime surrender, a mighty trust takes its place. It is not a trust that a specific, desired event will occur, but a trust that the very fabric of your existence is woven from a divine substance that is forever expressing its own perfection. This is not blind faith. This is the conscious recognition of a principle in operation. When you stop asking for a solution, you become the very space where the solution reveals itself. When you stop begging for supply, you open your eyes to the ever-present fountain of infinite substance. You are not waiting for God to act. You are consenting for God to be acted upon through you as you. The human scene may scream of lack, of sickness, of conflict. But I say to you, these are but pictures on a screen. To trust God's plan is to turn your attention away from the picture and to face the projector itself, the one source, the I Am, from which all life flows. In that turning, a miracle occurs. The picture changes, not because you manipulated it, but because you altered the light. So, I invite you into this sacred experiment. For the next 24 hours, let every plea that rises in your heart be transformed into a single silent affirmation. Thy will is my will. Thy consciousness is my consciousness. Watch what happens. See if the very universe does not reorganize itself to meet you on this new ground of conscious union. If this message has ignited a recognition within you, if you feel the call to go deeper into this practice of living from the finished kingdom, then let that impulse be your first act of trust. Let your hand, guided by this inner prompting, perform the sacred act of joining this community in form. Subscribe to this channel that we may walk this path together as one body of light, reminding each other of the truth we have always known. And now, to seal this communion in the visible, I ask you to leave a symbol in the comments below. Let that symbol be the number 47, representing the four corners of your human understanding surrendering to the sevenfold nature of the one perfect Spirit. Let it be your silent testament that you are no longer a seeker, but a beholder of the divine plan. Who preventing me from hearing the answer that was already here? This is where we come to the first and most critical milestone on this path. The conscious deliberate act of ceasing to outline to God how our good should appear. We are, by our very human training, master architects of our own despair. From the moment we wake, we are engaged in a frantic, often silent, process of outlining our day. We lay out the blueprint for how a conversation with our boss should go, scripting the perfect dialogue in our minds. We meticulously plan the solution to a financial problem, deciding exactly which source the money should come from, the exact amount, and the precise day it should arrive. We even outline our healing, not just praying for health, but demanding a specific medical report, a particular treatment, and a predetermined timeline for recovery. We come to God not with an open hand, but with a detailed contract, pointing to the dotted line and waiting for the cosmos to sign. But what is this, if not the ultimate act of placing a limit on the infinite? It is as if you are standing before the ocean with a teaspoon, insisting that the ocean can only quench your thirst through that one small, familiar utensil you hold. You are so focused on the teaspoon, on its shape and its capacity, that you are blind to the fact that you are standing knee deep in an endless, boundless supply. Your outline, your teaspoon, becomes the barrier to experiencing the ocean itself. You are asking for a drop when the entire ocean is waiting to carry you. This outlining is the root of our anxiety. It is the source of our disappointment, because when life, in its infinite intelligence, does not follow the narrow script we have written, we interpret it as a failure of God, a failure of prayer, a failure of the universe to listen. We cry out, "Why did you not answer me?" When the truth is, the answer was given, but it did not come in the packaging we demanded. It may have come as a closed door that saved us from a disaster we could not see. It may have come as a sudden insight that solved the problem from an angle we never considered. It may have come as a period of waiting that was necessary for the foundation of a greater blessing to be laid. But because we were staring so fixedly at the blueprint in our hands, we missed the magnificent, living city being built around us. To cease outlining is not to cease caring. It is not a state of passive resignation. On the contrary, it is the most powerful and active state of faith a human being can embrace. It is the decision to fire yourself from the job of being the general manager of the universe and to take up the far more glorious position of the observer, the witness, the willing participant in a plan whose grandeur you can only glimpse in fragments. It is to say, I release my tiny, fearful plan. I surrender my teaspoon. And I open myself to the ocean of thy infinite possibility. Let this become your spiritual practice in the most mundane moments. When you feel the familiar tension of worry about a relationship, notice the script you are writing for the other person. Are you outlining their lines, their actions, their changes? Consciously, in that moment, tear up the script. Place the entire relationship and your role in it into the silent, loving hands of the presence. Your work is not to manage them. Your work is to behold the Christ in them and to trust the intelligence of the universe to orchestrate the interaction for the highest good of all. When anxiety about a financial obligation tightens your chest, catch yourself in the act of outlining. Are you calculating the exact sum, fretting over the source, and dictating the deadline? Stop. Acknowledge the fear, but then make the conscious choice. I will not outline this. I acknowledge the presence of infinite divine supply. I do not know how, or when, or through what channel this appearance of lack will be transformed into an appearance of abundance. But I trust the substance to manifest itself in the form that is perfect for this situation. This is not magic, it is mechanics. It is aligning your consciousness with the source of all form, thereby allowing new and unexpected forms to emerge. The mind will rebel. It will scream that this is irresponsible, that without your frantic outlining, everything will fall apart. This is the final test. This is the moment where you must choose between the government of your own fearful ego and the government of God. When you consistently, patiently, relentlessly refuse to outline, a profound shift begins to occur. The mental energy you once wasted on writing scripts and drawing blueprints is freed. That energy becomes a quiet, potent attention, a listening grace. You begin to notice the subtle nudges, the unexpected opportunities, the spontaneous solutions that were always present but drowned out by the noise of your own planning. You start to live in a state of wonder, not worry. You become a detective of the divine, discovering God's plan not on a scroll delivered from the sky, but in the perfectly orchestrated events of a day. You finally stop trying to control. You will find that a problem you had outlined 100 different ways suddenly resolves through a means you could never have conceived. A healing you, demanded in one form, manifests as a profound peace that makes the physical condition irrelevant. You begin to understand that your outline was a cage, and in surrendering it, you have not lost your freedom, but have found it. The burden of being God lifts from your shoulders, and you are free, finally, to be the child of God, living in a universe that is not hostile, but is, in every atom, conspiring for your awakening. To be the child of God, living in a universe that is not hostile, but is, in every atom, conspiring for your awakening. And it is from this newfound freedom that a deeper, more profound motion of the heart begins to emerge, the shift from the relentless activity of supplication to the profound, potent stillness of surrender. We have been taught to pray as an act of reaching, of striving, of climbing a spiritual mountain to present our petitions at the summit. This is supplication. It is the voice of the separate self calling out from the valley of lack, believing it must convince, persuade, or earn the attention of a distant God. There is a place for this, a rung on the ladder, but to remain here is to live in a state of perpetual spiritual adolescence, always asking for an allowance, never realizing you are the heir to the entire estate. Supplication is born from the belief that God is separate from you, that your good is outside of you, and that through enough fervent prayer, you can bridge that gap. It is the language of, I am here, and you are there, and I need you to come here and fix this. But surrender is an entirely different language. It is the language of the ocean speaking to the wave. It is not a voice crying out, but a silent knowing that settles in the bones. Surrender is not a passive giving up, it is an active giving over. It is the conscious, deliberate decision to stop trying to row the boat and instead to raise the sail, allowing a wind far greater than your own strength to carry you. It is the transition from being the frantic gardener, digging in the soil and desperately demanding the seed to grow, to becoming the quiet, trusting farmer who has planted the seed, who tends the field, but who knows that the mystery of growth belongs to a law he did not create and cannot control. You can feel the difference in your own body. Supplication has a tension to it. The shoulders are tight, the jaw is clenched, the mind is racing with the words of the prayer. It is an effort, a work. Surrender, when it truly comes, feels like a release. It is a sigh that goes all the way to the soul. It is the unclenching of the fist around your life, your relationships, your future. It is the moment in the doctor's office when, after exhausting all your research and questions, you finally lean back and say, I am in your hands. It is the moment in a conflict when you stop arguing your case and simply become silent, allowing an intelligence greater than your own argument to fill the space. It is not defeat. It is the ultimate victory of faith over fear. Consider a practical example. You are facing a critical deadline at work, a project that seems impossible to complete. The supplicatory approach is to pray, God, please give me more time. Please make the client change the deadline. Please help me to work faster. Notice how the I is still at the center, and God is the cosmic assistant tasked with helping you meet your goal. The prayer of surrender is different. It begins with a stillness. You close your eyes amidst the chaos. You acknowledge the fear, the pressure. And then you consciously release the entire project, not the work, but the burden of its outcome, into the divine flow. You affirm, I am not the source of my intelligence or my strength. I am a vehicle. I place this project, my hands, and my mind into thy service. Let this work be done through me as you would have it done, in the perfect timing and in the perfect way. This is not abdicating responsibility, it is assuming a higher responsibility. The responsibility to stay aligned, to listen, and to cooperate. When you do this, something miraculous happens. The frantic energy dissipates. The mental fog clears. Ideas may arise that you had not considered. A colleague may offer unexpected help. The deadline may even shift, or you may find an efficiency you didn't know you possessed. The problem is resolved not because you wrestled it to the ground, but because you stopped wrestling and allowed a higher power to engage through you. You move from being the actor on the stage, straining under the spotlight, to being the instrument in the hands of the musician. The music that flows is not yours, yet you are essential to its expression. This is the yielded receptivity that is the hallmark of true spiritual power. It is the understanding that your entire life is not a problem to be solved by you, but a melody to be played by God. Your only task is to stay in tune, to surrender the resistance that creates dissonance, and to trust the musician completely. This is how you move from a life of begging for miracles to a life that is itself a miraculous expression. Or to a life that is itself a miraculous expression. This understanding naturally leads us to a realization that can shatter our experience of time and struggle. The profound truth that what we call God's plan is not a distant, future event waiting to unfold, but an already complete spiritual activity in which we are being invited to participate. We live our lives as if we are reading a book one word at a time, agonizing over the plot twists on the next page, fearful of how the story will end. We pray for a happy ending. We beg for a certain character to be saved. We plead for the villain to be defeated. But from the vantage point of the Absolute, the entire book is already written, bound and complete. The hero's journey is finished. The harmony is already established. The kingdom of heaven is not a destination you reach after death. It is the finished, perfect, and whole state of your own being, right here, right now, obscured only by your belief that you are still on chapter 3. Your entire spiritual endeavor, then, is not one of construction, but of revelation. It is not about building a bridge to God, but about removing the debris that obscures the bridge that has always been there. This is why your outlining and frantic supplication are so fruitless. It is like a character in a finished novel, desperately trying to rewrite its own lines, unaware that it's perfect. Redeemed self already exists just a few pages ahead. Your struggle is not to create something new, but to align your present moment consciousness with the reality of the finished kingdom. You are not a sculptor hacking away at a block of marble to find the statue. You are the statue, already perfect within the marble, and your trust is the gentle process of allowing the excess stone, the fear, the doubt, the sense of separation, to be chipped away to reveal what has always been true. Let this truth land in the most challenging areas of your life. You have a physical condition that medicine calls chronic. The world of appearances, the world of the unread page, shouts of a perpetual problem. It shows you scans and test results and speaks in terms of management and decline. This is the evidence of the senses. But the spiritual fact, the truth of the finished book, is wholeness, harmony, and perfect life. Your work is not to fight the illness, for that only empowers the appearance. Your work is to consciously and persistently turn your attention away from the testimony of the body and to abide in the spiritual fact of your being. You are not a sick person trying to become well. You are the spiritual idea of God, already whole, and your challenge is to let this truth manifest as your experience. You do this not by demanding healing, but by consenting to it as an already accomplished fact. You yield to the wholeness that you are, or consider a relationship that seems irreparably broken. The history, the hurtful words, the distance, all this forms a compelling narrative of separation and pain. This is the story you have been reading. But the finished kingdom knows no separation. In reality, there is only one Christ, one divine consciousness, expressing itself infinitely. There is no other to be in conflict with. The healing then does not come from trying to fix the other person or rehash the past. It comes from you in the privacy of your own consciousness. Withdrawing the power you have given to the appearance of separation and abiding in the spiritual fact of eternal, divine unity. You behold the Christ in the other person, regardless of their behavior. You forgive not because they deserve it, but because you choose to see them as the perfect child of God they eternally are. You are not mending a broken bridge. You are acknowledging that the bridge, made of divine substance, was never broken and can never be broken. The harmony you seek is not something you create. It is a reality you uncover by ceasing to believe in the illusion of discord. This is the ultimate thrill, the greatest adventure, to walk through a world shouting of lack, sickness, and war, all while holding the silent, inner knowing of the finished kingdom of abundance, health, and peace. You are not a victim of the world you see. You are a beholder of a higher reality, and by beholding it, you become a transparency through which that reality begins to glow faintly, then brightly, then overwhelmingly into the world of form. Your financial need is not a problem to be solved by God. It is a cloud obscuring the sun of infinite supply that is already shining upon you. Your task is not to pray for money, but to dissolve the cloud of belief in lack, to act from the consciousness of abundance, and to watch as the already present supply takes form in ways that will astonish you. The forms will come: a new opportunity, an unexpected check, a dissolved debt, not because you manifested them, but because you stopped manifesting the barrier that was hiding them. You are learning to live from the kingdom, not for it. You are not journeying toward a goal. You are unfolding from a divine cause. Every moment becomes an opportunity to ask one simple, revolutionary question, not, God, please fix this, but, God, what is the truth of this situation that you already know? And then to listen and to rest in the answer that is already given. And to rest in the answer that is already given. This resting is not a state of inactivity. It is the very engine of a transformed life. It brings us to the fourth cornerstone of this journey, the conscious transition from living VAF for the kingdom to living AF from it. We are not striving to reach a distant paradise. We are learning to express the divine reality that is our very core, here and now, in the gritty details of our human experience. For so long, our spiritual pursuit has been future-oriented. We have been like a fish swimming endlessly through the ocean, praying to one day find water. We have been seeking a state of grace, a condition of peace, a circumstance of abundance that we believe exists somewhere else, at some other time, once we have become worthy enough, holy enough, or enlightened enough. This is living for the kingdom. It is a life of postponement, where joy is conditional upon a future event, and peace is something we hope to achieve once our problems are solved. It is an exhausting pilgrimage toward a holy city that, according to the map, is always just over the next horizon. But what if the holy city is not over the horizon? What if you are standing in its central square at this very moment, but are wearing a blindfold? Living from the kingdom is the act of removing that blindfold. It is the shocking, thrilling, and utterly life-altering realization that the water the fish seeks is the very medium in which it swims.